Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Wamalak Yabushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that spit in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahushai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying. Slakia, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters, holding it down, zealous, diligent, on fire, steadfast, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom, or Shabbat shalom, rather, to everybody tuning in live through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, in these last days. Nigel Blends, Benjamin Youngwolf, Shalom, Nashayahu, Yashar All, Lamech, Aka Rectitude, HBK Lit, Marquise, Don Israel, Vernon Brody, Brother Azariah, Shalom King, Akamam, Bani Yasha Allah, Hoshaya Servant, Hebrew Israelites, Elder Daria Wash, Yvette McKellar, Rashad Rael, Kyoko Banyamyan, and again, everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. End times, the fall of the first heavens. End times, we're living in the last days. We're living in the end of the world. We're living in the time of all hell breaking loose, regional wars that are going to eventually turn into a global war, the Valley of Decision, Jehoshaphat, Armageddon, looming famines, prices increasing, global collapse. There are rioting all over the world. All hell is breaking loose. Societies are collapsing. Infrastructure's falling apart. New world orders are being set. Secret councils and great resets are being called for. You're living in the end of the world. The Israelites are waking up. America's collapsing. The world is on the brink of a complete societal collapse, man. And if we don't get right and return back to the Most High, then we also, right, will be cut off in the land of the living. Right? We also will be cut off in the land of the living. So we're going to touch on, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Shai, the fall of the first heaven. Right? And where is that mentioned at? Right? Let's go to Isaiah. Right? There's a lot going on in the earth, and I want to touch on a lot of these events that you see playing out currently. Right? Rather you have seen it on your local news station, rather you saw it on social media, rather you saw it on some alternative media site. Everything and anything that you see going around you is mentioned and documented in the Bible. Now, this Isaiah chapter 65 and 17. It reads, "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind." Make sure the screen is showing. Okay, come. All right, let me read this again. Right, this is what Isaiah the prophet prophesied by the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Shai. "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind." So there's a prophecy where the Most High is going to create a new heavens and a new earth. And the former, which is the current heavens and the current earth that we dwell in, shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. So all of the pain, the sorrows, the weeping, the crying, the oppression, the murder, all these things will not be remembered, nor come into mind, because the Most High is creating, and he has in the spirit already, but he is creating a new heavens and a new earth. So we're going to talk about the current state of the world right now, right? And if this was a perfected state and a desired state, and if the Most High was pleased with the earth, then there will be no need to create a new heaven and a new earth, right? If this was the pinnacle of godliness, and if the so-called white man and his world-famous Christianity was so much of the truth, then there will be no need for this prophecy. If everything and anything that this devil has done is in alignment with the laws of the Most High God, then again, the Most High wouldn't have prophecies of the Most High creating a new heavens and a new earth. And not only that, the former not being remembered nor coming to mind. So there's something going on in the earth where the Most High is not pleased, right? Based off of the events, the powers that be, these elites, how the animals are being treated, how the earth is being ran, how the Israelites are being treated. There's something that's displeasing about this rulership and about the powers that be right now, to the point where the Most High has to change all things, right? We're going to touch on this. We're going to harp more on this new heavens and the new earth. Does that mean an actual new heaven, an actual new earth? We're going to break it down and go into what's happening in this first heaven and this first earth. Let's go to Luke, right? Chapter 10. This is Luke chapter 10 and verse number 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. So when Yahushua gave these 70 disciples power over unclean spirits, to cast out devils, to be able to heal the lepers, give sight to the blind, and allow the deaf to hear, the 70 came back and they were rejoicing. And Yahushua saw the dynamic shifting on how Satan was having a stronghold and power through sin over the Israelites. And as they were being cast out, Yahushua called it out. He saw it. He said, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Now, on a practical level, there's a physical manifestation of Satan on the earth right now. There's somebody that is adverse and contrary to anything and everything that the Most High has already set up, right? All of the laws that were given in the creation, until all of the laws that Moses gave, the laws that were given to our fathers, the ordinances, the statutes, there's a particular people on the earth that are contrary to the Most High, right? And they are falling from heaven. And their heaven, again, is their rulership. That's their heaven, right? Their heaven is their power, their rulership. And they're falling like lightning, man. If you're watching what's going on in the earth right now, America is a modern day, it's a joke. Nobody respects America. All of the nations are mocking it. They're being defeated in a war with the power that they said they would take them a weekend to destroy. They're double backing on their words. They're retreating. Their economy's collapsing. They're divided. America said, we don't need NATO. They came out and said, we don't need NATO. Trump came out and said, he pretty much said the hell with Spain. He said, we don't need Spain. What can Spain do for us? They're falling like lightning from heaven, right? Let me get that quote real quick. I didn't plan on going into that one. Trump, let me just type that in. Spain, what can they do for us? I just want to type that in. He came out and said that, man. Right? He came out and said that as of April 2026, Trump threatened to cut off Spain or trade with Spain and accused it of being terrible due to a refusal by Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's government to allow U.S. military use of Spanish bases for strikes against Iran, along with disputes over NATO spending. Right? So they're done. Satan is falling like lightning from heaven. This is NATO being divided. America's like, we don't need NATO. Europe is saying we need to form our own army. See, they got you paying for this. I almost forgot about that. They said we need to form our own army without the help of America. Right? So you see the society collapsing. Satan's falling from heaven. They just came out and threatened. This society is so finished. They came out and threatened the Pope. They pretty much told the Pope, hey, look, get down or lay down. Now, the Pope is supposed to be the religious leader of the world. He's supposed to be self-appointed by God. The voice of, this is the world's understanding, the voice piece of God. And when there's conflict and confusion and war or crimes against humanity, then the Pope is supposed to stand. This is how they perceive it. The Pope is supposed to stand up and be the voice of reason and speak on behalf of God. Now they threaten the Pope. They said the Pope needs to pick a side. I've never seen anything like that, man. Right? Pope need. Let me pull that up. Right, there's so much going on. I had stuff pulled up, but then there's stuff going on. Look at this. Right, this is actually hilarious. Did the Trump administration? Oh, see, they want you to pay for everything now. Right? I hate to go to Yahoo. It's all the same thing. Right? Let me just go to it. Pentagon threatened the Pope after he criticized Trump. So Trump is a madman. I beheld Satan falling like lightning from heaven. Right? His heavens, his rulership, and how he has ran the earth, it's all coming back to haunt him. Right? Let me get a quick precept. Let's go to Colossians, the 3rd chapter. This is Colossians chapter 3 and 25. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he had done, and there is no respect of persons. And that's all this devil has done on the earth. All he's done was wrong. Name one thing the so-called white man did that was right and that he did of God and of truth. And I'll shut the live down right now. Right? Tell me one law that he kept that's written in the scriptures. He didn't keep not one. All he's done was wrong to the Most High, wrong to Yahweh Shai, wrong to the saints, wrong to the beast. He done destroyed the plants. He done destroyed the food. He done switched up the course of nature. He's receiving the wrong that he had done. He's caused so much division internally by overthrowing world leaders, by funding military organizations, setting up coups, assassinating people who don't support Western philosophy and the Americanization and American imperialism. All throughout Central America, South America, other parts of the world, he's caused so much division, it's turning on his own head, and the Most High is bringing extreme division to the society. There's no respect of persons with the Most High. This society is so bad that the so-called white man and Western civilization is so finished that their top country, their top war power is threatening their top religious power. You know what that's like? That's like King David going to war against the high priest, Zadok, the high priest. That's what this is like. You have the church, you have the state. And it's supposed to work, according to this man's world, in harmony. Can you imagine King David and Joab threatening to kill Zadok, the high priest? It never happened, man. These are signs of this heaven collapsing. These are sure signs. This is actually confounding. Now check this out, right? I want to see if they got the actual quote. Yep, I'm gonna jump down to the point. Days after Pope Leo the 14th delivered his State of the World speech, Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Elbridge Colby summoned Cardinal Christophe Pierre, the Vatican's U.S. representative, to a closed-door Pentagon meeting for a bitter lecture. Now check this out. So they about to get on the United States. They're getting on them because a lot of these Edomites are turning on America. Spain, France, Belgium, China, all of the world is turning against America. And they're so vulnerable and they're so exposed. So they pulled them to a meeting. The United States, Colby said, according to a blistering new report by the Free Press, has the military power to do whatever it wants in the world. The Catholic Church better take its side. So that's a threat. It said we could do whatever the hell we want to do. I don't care if you're the Pope, you better get down and lay down. So they'll kill the damn Pope if they had to, man. Let me go to Daniel real quick, right? Let's go to Daniel chapter 7, right? All of this is part, we're going to go, we're going into this first heaven and this first earth and how finished and how corrupt it is and how overthrown it is based off of biblical prophecy and what the Most High is going to do. This is Daniel 7 and 18. Again, heaven represents in this and prophecy, the heavens represent the powers that be. America is a heaven. China, Russia, Iran, right? The European Union. All of these are the powers of heavens that God has set up in the last days. And why are they called the powers of heaven? Because they are exalted financially. They are exalted because they prosper off of the slavery and genocide of the children of God. Why are they heavens? Because they are the major powers and influencers of the earth. So that's what the Bible calls them, as we are going to touch on later. The Most High calls them the powers of heaven. Right? This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, and this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. You see that? So this is speaking about America. Daniel saw a little horn. The little horn is America. And in order for America to come into power, they had to take down 3 other horns, meaning 3 other powers that came out of Rome, right? The 3 powers they took out, these 3 horns, is Britain, Spain, and France. These are the 3 horns that were plucked up by the American military. France was, or the American banking system, if you will, backed up by the Rothschilds. Now, and the Rockefellers. France was taken out in the French-Indian War. They were also overthrown in the Quasi-War, and they were also bought out with the Louisiana Purchase. They lost their territory. Spain was defeated in the Spanish-American War, and Britain was defeated in 2 wars, the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. So America's military might allowed them to take down 3 of these previous powers. And this is why they boast about their military and we could do whatever we want to do, right? And there's another precept I'm thinking of I want to get in Revelation, the 13th chapter. But I pulled this up before, right? But let's just type it back in. Spain, France, and England, American map, right? Let's just, Slocky, let's get this. Right, we pulled this up before, but it's often a refresher, right? You got a lot of new brothers that come in. So America came into power. They came out of Britain. They took down these 3 horns. Took down France, took down Spain. Remember, Spain at one time had all these countries, right? They had Florida, and they had West America, and France had Central and Midwest, and Britain had the East Coast. These are the 3 horns that were plucked up by the roots. And this is how America became that great power, right? Let's go back on and read the rest of this. I'm going to pick up in Daniel 7 and 8. It reads, and behold, in the horn, and this horn, were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. You know, and the Lord speaks about the eyes of man, that it weepeth upon every occasion. It's covetous, right? And desires to have, and desires to want, and desires to possess things that it doesn't, it's like it possess other people's things. I'll put it like that. Possess things that don't belong to them. And their mouth speaking very great things is saying, well, we're God, we're the Lord. The Pope is the voice piece of God. And now they're speaking great things against each other. The Pope better pick a side. He better get down or lay down. Nobody's safe around this devil. Nobody is safe. His own top religious leaders, his own people ain't safe. This place is finished. Right? Let's go to Revelation real quick. Chapter 13. This is Revelation chapter 13, and I want to read verse number 4. Actually, let's start at 3, right? Revelation 13 and 3. And I saw one of his head. I've never seen America so finished. I'm going to just put that out there. It's like every day, the Most High just continually just shows you that this society is completely finished. You know, it's like, when is this place just going to go down? I'll be thinking about that. How long? How much time do we have? Because at this rate, it's done. The Most High has such a heavy spirit out, brothers, you could tell he has such a heavy spirit causing America to err in every work of judgment. This is a fulfillment of Isaiah, the 19th chapter, that the Most High will put a spirit on Egypt and cause them to err in every work of judgment. And they're going to stagger like a drunken man in his vomit. Let me get that first. I know I called Revelation. We're going to go back to this, but this is a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Isaiah 19 and 14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. A drunken man will fight his own friends. I've seen it. He'll argue with his best friend who's trying to save him. And he staggers in his imbalance. That's how America is. They're like a drunken man. They want to fight everybody. Drunk people want to fight, man. See that in Proverbs, the 23rd chapter. Right? They get wounds without cause. Who hath redness of eyes and wounds, and drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool. Let me get that too. Until he offend. There's a lot of, right? This is a lot we're going to get into tonight. Right? Because I have precepts planned to go into, but then there are precepts that just come out, right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. This is Ecclesiasticus, chapter 31 and 29. But wine, drunken with excess, maketh bitterness of the mind with brawling and quarreling. And that's what America's doing. The Most High got a drunken spirit on them, and that's why you have bitterness of the mind. That's why their minds ain't right. They're threatening the Pope. The state of Israel is threatening America. America's threatening Spain. England said we're going to war. That's bitterness of the mind, and there's brawling and quarreling. You know what the brawling and quarreling is? Wars. What's going on in Iran? Seditions. Invading one another. They should not regard kings nor princes, for the course of their actions shall stand in their power. These are the effects of drunkenness, fights and wars and brawls. Drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool till he offend. It diminishes strength and maketh wounds. And this is America. This links up with Isaiah on a parabolic level. This links up with Isaiah chapter 19 and 14. Because America is increasing in rage until they offend. They offended the Most High. They offended Yahushua. They offended the heavenly host of angels. They offended the children of the Lord, the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans of Negro and Indian descent. Hey, hell, America offended their own people, their own kingdom, their own top religious leaders. Their own citizens are offended. Greece and Spain and Turkey, NATO members are offended at the warlike rage of the foolish American military. And their strength is being diminished. And they're dying over there. And it maketh wounds. They're dying over there, man. They got casualties in Iraq. So what you're watching, this collapse of America, is in the Bible. And I just want to go on the record and say, where's all of the Muslims? And why aren't they opening the Quran to tell us what God is doing on the earth right now? Where's all of the pastors going into the prophecy? Where's all of the Buddhists showing us what's going on in the end of the world? Where's all the Roman Catholics, man? All these wicked religions and wicked world leaders, how come they can't go in the Bible and show us what God is doing on the earth? If that's supposed to be the way, these paths supposed to be going to prophecy. The spirit of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. 2 Ezra 15:1, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. The Lord said, comfort ye, my people, man. Her warfare is accomplished, her iniquity is accomplished, paraphrasing. They're not going in the scriptures and showing what God is doing on the earth. The Lord said they are dumb, and I'm paraphrasing a lot because we got a lot we got to get into. They are dumb dogs, everyone loving to slumber. If you're not going into prophecy and showing what the Most High is doing, then what the hell are you doing, man? Because we're living in prophetic times. Let's read it again, Isaiah 19:14. So all you imams in Islam, all you Roman Catholics, all you Christian pastors, y'all have no answers. And now that you provide clarity to us so we can know what God is doing and how to be saved from the pending danger that's coming on the earth. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err, and every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Let's go to Revelation, the 13th chapter. Right? Revelation 13:4. I was holding this as well. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? So there was a time where these nations actually feared the American military. They feared who can take down this modern day Roman Empire. They have atomic bombs. They have radioactive weapons. They have lasers, right? They have all types of things that we can't go bar for bar with. But now these nations, the Most High also said, let the weak say, I am strong. So this war success that he's had has gotten to his head where he said, we'll threaten the Pope. Now, what if the Catholic Church said, we don't want to take your side? You know? Let's see what happened. Let's see what happened in history, man. It reads, one U.S. official, for brothers just tuning in, the United States says they have the military power to do whatever it wants in the world. Is that proud? Is that a proud statement? You know, not to go on another rant, but you know, all these ancient nations, they knew about the Most High. Now they were off, but they always knew about the Lord. Nebuchadnezzar, he knew about the Most High. When you read Daniel, the 4th chapter, he said, blessed be the God of Daniel. Cyrus of the Persian Empire, when they went back to build the temple, he said, offer up sacrifices for me and my son, that the God of heaven may watch over us, paraphrasing. Even Alexander the Greek, he knew about the Most High, man. And he didn't have the Israelites pay any taxes when he conquered Judea, and he actually knew about the Lord, man, and tried to offer sacrifices. Every nation, even in their power, with the exception of one or two, they knew about the Most High, and they never crossed that line. They never painted the Lord as a white man. You know, these Egyptians knew about the Most High. Everybody knew about the Lord. They never painted them in their image. They never made them in their likeness. They never did what this so-called white man has done. He has went above and beyond. He got the power to do whatever we want. Let me get this in 2nd Ezra. Right? The Lord said, your proud times have come to an end, man. Right? Your time is up. Right? 2nd Ezra, chapter 11. Here it is in 44. I'm going to start at 43. This whole thing is good. We read this before. I'm going to just read 43 and 44. 2nd Ezra 11 and 43. Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. So all of their pride is being recorded by the angels. That statement that we could do whatever we want in the world is in complete disregard to God who runs the world. Now, last time I read in the book of Daniel 4 and 35, which I'm going to get to, the Most High said that he rules in the kingdom of men. The Most High do what he wanted to. So who the hell are you to say our military could do whatever we want? That's why your pride is being brought up against you. 2nd Ezra 11 and 44. The highest also hath looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and its abominations are fulfilled. So the Most High is watching you, and everything you do is being recorded. This is Daniel chapter 4 and 35. It reads, and all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven. The Lord controlled all of the angels. And among the inhabitants of the earth, so he controlled everybody on the earth, and none can stay his hand or say unto him, what doest thou? Nebuchadnezzar learned the hard way. Go back and read what happened to Nebuchadnezzar when he started talking talk, when he started speaking like this, right? Let's go back to this. So the Lord said, I'll run this. You don't run a damn thing. I run in the heavens. I run the earth. You can't stop me or do anything about it. Let's read on a little of this, a little bit more. One U.S. official present at the meeting brought up the Avignon papacy, a period in the 14th century in which the French monarchy bent the Catholic Church into submission. Why would you bring that up? Ordering an attack on Pope Boniface VIII that led to his downfall and subsequent death. Damn. And forcing the papacy to relocate from Rome to Avignon, a region inside of France. Why would you bring that up, huh? I thought when the Pope and the cardinals bring you in, you're supposed to kind of submit. Imagine this meeting. Esau said, you know what? Remember that time them other Edomites, some other French, they brought you to submission and killed you? That's what they're telling him in this meeting. These are Edomites. They're being, Nathan corrected David concerning the matter of adultery. When did David respond with some threat, huh? Imagine, for brothers that read 2 Samuel 12, imagine Nathan throwing that parable at David and correcting David, and David said, you know what I did to Goliath, right? Remember what happened to Goliath? Oh yeah, what happened to them other Philistines? Okay, what happened to the Ammonites? You got something else you want to say? David would never. David humbled down and he corrected himself. Esau can't take correction, not even from his own false religion and God that he set up. Absolute madness. Now, I'm going to read one more part of this. It reads, the Trump administration had taken issue with the Pope's critique of its militaristic proclivities, Salakia. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and other top Pentagon officials were particularly aggrieved by portions of Leo's January the 9th speech in which the Pope argued that a diplomacy that promotes dialogue and seeks consensus among all parties is being replaced by a diplomacy based on force, and that war is back in vogue and a zeal for war is spreading. See that? A zeal for war is spreading. This is part of the first heavens and the first earth. Let's go to Psalms 82 and 5. So everything's finished, man. His top church and state are beefing. He's threatening the Pope. The Pope is threatening him. NATO's divided. All hell is breaking loose. This is Psalms 82 and 5. So we about to get up out of here, man. We're just waiting. We're just waiting on the Lord. Psalms 82 and 5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Everything is out of course. Everything's finished. The migrational patterns of the animals. The waters are completely contaminated. The air is unbreathable. The earth is damn near uninhabitable. The animals hate it here. The sea creatures hate it here. The birds are against the so-called white man. Women are men. Men are women. Right? A man can say he's a child. Pedophilia is acceptable. They're eating children. Everything's out of course. We're on the bottom. They're ruling. Everything's out of course. Even who's supposed to be governing the earth is out of course. We were set up as a nation of kings and priests. We've been relegated due to our sins as being the tail and they're the head. That's out of course. Solomon said in his wisdom, I have seen princes walking as servants on the earth. Everything is out of course. Let's go to 1 John 5 and 19. Right? 1 John chapter 5 and 19. And we know that we are of God, and the whole world lieth in wickedness, man. And we represent that small remnant. There's always a remnant of the sons of God that keep the covenant. Right? In the days of the sons of God in Genesis, you had Enoch, right? You had Methuselah, you had Lamech, you had Noah, you had that old guard, you had Shem. You always had that remnant of the sons of God. During the building of the Tower of Babel, you had Eber, you had Peleg, you always had these sons of God. Even coming out of Egypt, you had Moses, you had Aaron, you had Caleb, you had Joshua. In every captivity and in every time, you always have a small portion of Israelites that still unwaveringly, that's the word, serve the Most High. While the whole world lieth in wickedness, man. The whole world is corrupt. This whole earth is full of sin, violence, murder, confusion, war, pedophilia, child molestation. These are the heavens that are in power right now, right? These are the heavens that are in power. Let's go to 2 Peter real quick, just to touch on that, because I keep mentioning these heavens. This is 2 Peter 3 and 7, 3 and 10, Salakia, right? 2 Peter 3 and 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, the earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burned up. So Yahweh Shah is returning like a thief in the night, right? While we're in the midst of great tribulation. And let me break this part down real quick, because there's a misunderstanding regarding this. The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. A lot of brothers believe that you could be asleep right now, and then tomorrow Yahweh Shah is just there. He comes in while you're asleep. Or there are prophecies that have to play out, right? And there are certain precepts that give you a better understanding on the season in which the Lord will come and return. Right? Let me get a quick precept on that to give some clarity on the thief in the night part. Let's go to Matthew 24. Right? Let's go to Matthew 24 and let's read 29. Because a lot of brothers think you'll just be out grocery shopping, you're at work, and then all of a sudden a trumpet blow and Yahweh Shah returns. No, that's not what that means. Right? This is Matthew chapter 24 and 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. So, to get a better understanding on the season and the return of Yahweh Shai, now you know that it's immediately after the tribulation. What tribulation is this? This is Jacob's trouble. That's the great tribulation that you read about in the Bible. Let's get a precept on that. That's when the bombs and the nuclear missiles are going to be dropping on the earth, and that's when Yahweh Shah is going to return. It's immediately after the tribulation. Let's go to, we'll do Daniel 12. Salakia. Daniel 12 and 1. This is the tribulation. You know what? Yeah, let's do Daniel 12 and 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So that tribulation in Matthew 24 and 29 is what Daniel was speaking about, Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation. That is the peak of World War III internationally, but also primarily in America. This is where we're going to be getting persecuted, slain, put to death, fleeing. That's that tribulation. Let's get one more on that. I just wanted to break that down, Salakia, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Shai. This Daniel chapter 4 and verse 30. When thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou return unto the Lord thy God, and shall be obedient unto his voice. So it's prophesied for us to go through Jacob's trouble. Moses talked about that. Not just Jeremiah, not just John the Revelator in John the 7th or Revelation the 7th chapter, not just Daniel. Moses has been prophesied of Jacob's trouble. You know, in the latter days, which are the days you're living in. So now we get better clarity on the beginning of the precept in 2 Peter 3 and 10. Let's read it again. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. So now we know exactly what that means. That's Yahweh Shah returning as Jacob's trouble is reaching it's at its climax, right? And right after that, when it seems like there's no more hope, that's when Yahweh Shah is going to return. And that's why we say when this thing kick off, when Jacob's trouble kick off, we're going to eventually lose record about what's going on in the earth, because we're not going to have the same access that we have to the internet to watch and to see what's going on with Iran, to see. We're going to be moving, you know? And at any given time, Yahweh Shah could return. But I'm going to say that again, when Jacob's trouble kick off, we don't know how long that period is going to last. So days are going to be going by, but as those days go by, we know at that time, the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. So there are signs that you have to look for, right? Eclipses, blood moons. We're in Jacob's trouble, and now you're more in tune to the return of Yahweh Shai compared to this Christian understanding that's I'm out at the bank and now Jesus Christ returns and raptures everybody up. That is not in the Bible. We always say through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Shai, it's one thing to know prophecy. It's another thing to know the chronology of prophecy and how these events play out, you know? So we understand that now, right? Let's read on. So it reads, in which the heavens shall pass away with the great noise, that's by means of the nuclear destruction, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. So these heavens passing away are speaking about the kingdoms, the powers, the rulerships. That's what Peter is speaking about, because the heavens aren't going to literally pass away. You think the third heaven is going to pass away where the Lord dwells at? And the Lord has to figure out, well, what do I do? I destroyed my throne. I destroyed the temple. I destroyed Michael and Satan and all of the heavenly hosts that I made. Well, where do I go? And the Lord, he's looking for a new heavens because he destroyed the first one because he didn't plan it out and now the Lord. No, there are multiple heavens. All right. We're going to read that. 2 Peter 3:11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? So we got to examine ourselves as we read to make sure that like we're doing what's pleasing in the eyes of the Most High, looking for and hasting until the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and the new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. So these heavens being on fire is the current powers on the earth. It's not talking about where the Most High is. That's where the Most High lives. That is called the third heaven. Let's go to 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. That is the third heaven. Okay? Let's prove that. There are different levels of heaven. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse number 1. It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord. So this is Paul speaking about what he went through, right? Let's read about it. I knew a man in Hamashiach above 14 years ago. Whether in the body, I cannot tell, or rather out of the body, I cannot tell. God knoweth. Such an one caught up to the third heaven. All right. He was caught. The third heaven is where the Most High is at. Yahweh Shai, the heavenly host, the throne, the angels, right? The four beasts, the 24 elders, the altar of incense, right? All these heavenly things you read about, it is in the third heaven. And Paul is speaking about how he got caught up to the third heaven. All right. Now, this third heaven is also called paradise. We're going to read about that. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. God knoweth. So Paul is saying, I didn't know if I had what they call an OBE. I didn't know if I had an outer body experience. I didn't know if I physically went up to the third heaven or if I had an outer body experience. I don't know what I went through. Only the Most High knows. All I can explain is I went up to the third heaven, and here's what happened. That's what he's going into. Verse 4, how that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for a man to utter. So he said, man, he got caught up into the third heaven. And I heard what things, and this angel said that, and this looked hyper realistic, and I can't explain what I saw. I can't utter it. So that's where the Most High dwells at. Yahweh, the Most High God, he himself dwells in the third heaven. You'll often hear it being called the heaven of heavens. That's another place it's called the heaven of heavens. This is Ecclesiasticus, the 16th chapter, and let's read verse number 18, right? Here's another name for it. Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens, the deep and the earth, and all that therein is, shall be moved when he shall visit. So you have the heaven, which is really, this is the first heaven. This heaven is the first heaven. It's talking about the firmament, right? Then you read about the heaven of heavens. The heaven of heavens is the third heaven, right? That is the top heaven. That's why it's called the heaven of heavens. Then you have the deep. The deep is the ocean, and the earth is the dry land, right? That's what the Most High is saying. So that's the third heaven that we're reading about in 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and 2. Then the second heaven has to be explained. So the second heaven are the waters above the firmament. That's the second heaven. right? You have waters above the firmament. The firmament is what you have been taught as the sky, right? They call it the sky, right? And you have water above the sky. I don't care what the so-called white man told you. I know a lot of people are thinking, well, that's not what I learned in at earth science in the 8th grade. Earth science, Miss Roberts said, we don't give a damn what Miss Roberts said, man. But Miss Roberts don't know the Most High. Well, Miss Roberts said she did know the Most High. No, they don't know, right? That's why they took the Bibles out of the school, because the layout of the earth contradicts modern day science. There are waters above the heavens. That is called the second heaven, right? Let's prove that. That's back in Genesis, right? Miss Roberts don't know a damn thing, right? This is Genesis chapter 1. It's like I want 1 and 6, right? Let's read about the second heaven. Genesis 1 and 6. And God said, we know that's Yahweh and the angels, Elohim, right? God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. So there's an expanse. The Bible calls it even a vault, right? And it divides water on the earth from waters above the firmament. That's the job of the firmament. Okay. And the Most High made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. So you look up, that's what these so-called white men, they had this they just had this mission called Artemis the Second. I believe it was called Artemis the Second. And I think they said they went around the moon, or they went up, but they didn't do that. Right. So like I'm still recovering slightly, but they returned to the earth after a mission to the moon. I'm gonna tell you something. I hate to hurt a lot of brothers' feelings, but they didn't go to the moon. Well, Miss Roberts, right? My wife said, or at work, look, man, the moon is inside the firmament. They're saying they went, and look at this. This never happened. First of all, according to the Bible, the moon is inside the firmament. You have great lights inside the firmament, the sun and the moon and the stars. Nowhere in the Lord's holy word does it say the moon is completely outside the firmament. You can go through the firmament, circumnavigate the moon, and land back on the earth. Right? So that's not in the scriptures. This thing never happened, man. Right? I don't care what CNN said and how they said it. Right? But the point is, you have the first heaven, which is the sky. Then you have the second heaven, which are the waters above the firmament. Then you have the third heaven, where the Most High dwells at. And then you have powers and kingdoms that are also called heaven. I hope brothers understand. And we're going to break it down again. Let's go back to Genesis and talk about this firmament. Let's read the next verse in Genesis 1 and 8. And the Most High called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Right? So that sky is actually called heaven. Right? And it's high and exalted, just like China. Right? Just like America, just like Russia. They are high and exalted. So the Most High said, I'm going to call those the powers of heaven. Okay? Let's get 2nd Ezra 4 and 6. Here's another reason why they took the Apocrypha out of the Bible, because it further breaks down the concept of these heavens, right? This is 2nd Ezra chapter 4 and 7. And he said unto me, if I should ask thee, how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep, or how many springs are above the firmament, or which are the outgoings of paradise? And these are things that we can't answer. We don't know how much water it is and how deep it is. We don't know how many springs there are in the ocean. We don't even know how many springs are above the firmament, right? And we don't know the outgoings of paradise. We don't know how to get to the third heaven. What portal or what path to go to enter into? Where's the gate of heaven that Jacob saw? And how can we find that to go to the third heaven? We don't know the outgoings of paradise. All right. But this further proves that second heaven are the waters above the firmament, right? So we understand that. Let's just get one more to put the nail in the coffin. Remember, when you had the flood, you had waters that came from above the firmament, you had waters on the earth from the clouds, and you had waters underneath the earth, right? Highly pressured geysers and water sprouts that came out of the earth. That's how the whole earth was flooded to the top of the mountains in 40 days and 40 nights, because you had three sources of rain: from the clouds, from the waters above the firmament, and from the foundations of the deep being broken up, because there's water underneath the earth. That's why people dig wells and they find water, and there's a lot of liquids under the earth to lubricate the earth and to allow things to function. Psalms 148:4. Praise him, ye heavens of heavens, and ye waters that be above the heavens. Okay? So your first heaven again is the sky. Your second heaven are the waters above the sky. And your third heaven is where the Most High dwells at. And then you have countries and kingdoms that are called the powers of heaven due to how they are exalted into power, right? Yahweh Shai mentioned that in Matthew, the 11th chapter. Let's go to that. St. Matthew, chapter 11, and verse number, let's start at 23. Matthew 11:23. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. So Capernaum was a rich city, man. They were living good, prosperous, strong economy, people taken care of. So much so where the Lord said they are exalted unto heaven. So when you have riches, power, and wealth, you are exalted unto heaven. You become a power of heaven. Okay? So when Peter said that the powers of heaven shall be shaken, he's talking about this first heaven, right? This first heaven and this first earth. That's what John was mentioning in the book of Revelation. Peter was mentioning in his epistles, so forth and so on. And this first heaven and these powers of heavens, they're completely out of course, man. Everything is defiled. Let's go to Isaiah. Let's further prove that everything's defiled. Isaiah chapter 24 and verse number 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. And you can't tell me the earth not defiled. You can't tell me that, man. Everywhere you go, you got trannies, freakism. You can't eat the. I'm hearing now they got fake. They got what's that? Fake cabbage, fake lettuce, fake eggs. How do you make fake eggs? Even for the wicked, they were making them plastic shrimp. You know, every fake rain. The clouds ain't real. You got cloud seeding and fake clouds. You got harp. They said they got damn flies and bees. They're robotic now. So nothing is real. Even the seeds, GMO. I'm hearing now that they're injecting what are they injecting? I don't want to say that word. Vaccines. If you get it, you get it. You know, they like to flag the channel. They're injecting vaccines and all types of stuff into the food now. And they've been doing that, man. Everything is defiled under the rulership of the so-called white man. Right? Let me pull this up. They said they want to charge you to breathe. And this guy, Bill Gates, man, right? mRNA attack on your food. A new company backed by 50 million is rolling out biologically modified crops sprayed with viral it's like a viral RNA, turning soybeans, tomatoes, and corn and more into silent genetic reprogramming machines. Right? So they pretty much just want to kill you, man. I'm going to eat organic. Okay. Now you want to take care of yourself, man, through the spirit and power of the most high, but a lot of this stuff, man, that they feeding you and they giving you, it's all corrupt any damn way, man. It's all corrupt. Let me see if I can play this. This is from the World Economic Forum. Let's see if I can get that audio through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah. The earth is defiled. This is what happens when the wicked rule the earth.
Today across a huge number of crops.
So are you for or against genetically modified food?
Well, what our foundation is doing is we're working with partners. For example, DuPont Pioneer on some new maize.
And how is this guy the what's the word I'm looking for? How is he the expert in this field? Isn't he a computer guy? He's a computer guy. Where is his qualifications when it comes to determining how to handle? He's not a nutritionist. He's not a food scientist. He's not a doctor. Is he Dr. Bill Gates? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's Dr. Bill Gates. So when did he become there's a better word I'm looking for, but the voice of all types of food modifications? Who set this guy up?
These things with ADM on some cocoa growing things. Some of these are traditional breeding and some of them are transgenic. In parallel, we're also funding scientific expertise in Africa. So when 3 or 4
damn Africans, we got a lot of Jake in Africa, but goddamn, man, them Hamites, man, they can't win for losing. Every time they wake up, it's a so-called white man coming down, putting a needle in their arm, spraying them with stuff, and then kidnapping them and running experiments on them.
ADM on some cocoa growing things.
This is fair use.
Some of these are traditional breeding and some of them are transgenic. In parallel, we're also funding scientific expertise in Africa. So when 3 or 4 years from now, if things go as expected, there are some crops with big benefits, drought resistance, that the transgenic approach probably can do better than any other approach.
Your brothers trust this guy? See, a lot of people look at this so-called white man, they see clean shaven, or he has glasses on, he has a suit on, and he has a microphone, and he sounds so articulate, and I trust white man. I trust Whitey. Oh, Bill Gates. And you have rappers making a song about Bill Gates. I think Lil Wayne, one of these guys made a song, man. I can't remember how it go. Damn. I'm not going to put it out there, but they had a song about that, man. You had Jake trying to beat damn Bill Gates. Bill Gates ain't do nothing for you, man. Damn, Bill Gates money.
Each country can decide what are the benefits.
Bill Gates is a child molester. And Bill Gates came to camp, man. And things that happen. Let Bill Gates come to the harbor and pull some precepts. Right? Let him come pull some precepts, man.
Benefits to them, and what are the risks? What's known about safety, IP licensing, and things.
So the point is, man, they are destroying the earth. They are destroying the earth. And I wanted to play this other clip because they said they want to start charging people to breathe. They say, look, y'all doing too much breathing out here. Right? Y'all are doing too much breathing. We'll have to put an end to that. We're gonna have to start taxing y'all for that, man. We're gonna start taxing y'all to breathe because you know you what they call them, useless eaters. You useless eaters are eating up too much. Where is this? I had all these pulled up. You're eating up all of the air. So check this out. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but they're saying water, soil, and oxygen should not be infinitely accessible. They are assets that should be included in the global economic balance sheets. Right? So they want to charge you for oxygen. Imagine that. Right? Let's play a little of this. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
When we talk about capital,
This is the rulership under the first heavens. Confusion, war, and outright satanic agendas.
we tend to think only about financial capital, about cash, financial assets, but we know that's not the only value on which our economies depend. We know that every aspect of every part of the economy is fundamentally dependent on nature, as you highlighted. The air that we breathe, the water we drink, the soil, the oceans that we need for the food that we need to consume, the minerals that we need as inputs to technology and to infrastructure. And without these forms of value, these forms of natural capital, we won't have economies. They are the fundamental building blocks of our economies. But the ways, as you said, the ways in which we have grown our economies, our models of economic development, have been incredibly successful for global prosperity. I mean, but the unintended consequences of
what she's saying and all them demonic double-tongued words is, okay, we grow our economy through the labor market, right? We grow our economy through agriculture. Now we want to grow our economy by controlling oxygen, by controlling soil, right? By controlling more of these natural resources, right? So, this stuff is getting out of hand, man.
The current models of growth are simply not sustainable on a finite planet. The amount of resource that we are drawing into our economies, Earth's resources, and the amount of pollution and waste that we're pumping out, whether that's through greenhouse gas emissions, whether that's sewage into our water, whether it's plastics into the ocean, is beyond the Earth's carrying capacity.
How do they know how much the Earth can carry? And who's the one destroying the Earth? Sewage in the water, destroying the air. These are your people, man. The so-called white man is a disease on the earth. Right? Look, you hear what she's saying.
Sewage into our water, whether it's plastics into the waste that we're pumping out, whether that's through greenhouse gas emissions, whether that's sewage into our water, whether it's plastics into the ocean, is beyond the Earth's carrying capacity. And we know that that's leading, as you said, to very significant direct impacts for society, but very significant financial costs for the economy. You can look at that as you have and calculate that at a macro level. But the way that that's showing up as we're breaching these boundaries and breaching these limits and undermining nature is showing up in very practical ways that are showing up for financial risk for institutions. Lack of water is leading to disruption of operations, of supply chains.
Why is there a lack? How could there be a lack of water on the earth? Because you devils refuse. You have nobody could drink the water. First of all, you made the water undrinkable. And only the water that you can be drunk and has to be manufactured in your facilities and owned by you devils. In the ancient world, you could just go and drink the water. Noah, Enoch, they could just go and drink the water. But you made the whole water undrinkable. The water that the Lord made, man. They say 70% of the earth. You done made it completely, unusable of God's creation.
Water is needed as an essential input for manufacturing or power production.
Put all types of oils in there, chemical spills, dead bodies.
Degradation of soil is leading to reduced agricultural yields. The decline of pollinator species is also having an impact on agriculture. So that's leading to direct financial risks for organizations, for businesses, and ultimately for investors. And as you said, ultimately the reason for this is at the moment, the way that decisions are made on an everyday level within businesses and financial institutions is because we're looking only at financial data.
So the point of the matter is, she's speaking about oxygen, soil, controlling the water, and they want to be able to charge you for these things. That's what she's saying. That's what she's mentioning. These are now assets, right? On the balance sheet. You look at a P&L balance sheet or, whatever, fiscal balance sheet. They want to start monetizing how much oxygen each country gets. This is the rulership of the so-called white man. Where is it at in the Bible? When did David do that? Solomon. This is a wicked, vile, corrupt kingdom. A wicked, vile, corrupt kingdom where now they want to charge countries, which is completely impractical, but these devils will find a way. Here's how much you could breathe, right? It's all part of their system, right? The world's most powerful reset. That's what so-called Trump said, right? The world's most powerful reset. So these devils are all in one accord for their agenda and new world order to manufacture a war. That's what they want to do. I don't know if anybody told you. They want to create this war to disrupt energy usage and energy supplies, which is going to lead to riots, civil unrest, pandemonium, massive starvation, massive famine, more wars, martial law, and then they want to come out of their bunkers at the end all be all as millions die of famine and die of war and come out and be God on the earth again and have complete control after they reset the population to a desirable, they say 10 million, 150 million per the Georgia Guidestones and other sources. That they want to come out and control all of the water, all of the air, put you in these little cities. All of this is part of their plan, man. The earth is defiled. Let's go to Isaiah 29:16. They want to do this reset, man. They have their agenda, what is that, Agenda 2030? Even to this day right now, they're speaking. They're having their Bilderberg meeting right now, which is an illuministic secret council to discuss how to destroy the Most High, Yahweh Shai, the Israelites, and the people of the earth. This Isaiah 29:16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say to him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? So the so-called white man turned everything upside down. And he was made by the Most High, man, to be the wicked, to be the devil. But now he's playing out to be the Lord, and he wants to control all of the earth, man, and all of the people and all of the air and all of the resources, like a demon. So these are different events through the spirit that are happening, man. Here's another thing happening. They're pushing, and you can look this stuff up, they're pushing the pedophile anti-discrimination bill. That's where the Most High is breaking this place apart. Let me play this real quick. Then I want to get back to these precepts. Right? Check this out. Right? They already have NAMBLA. For brothers that never heard of NAMBLA, NAMBLA is the National Association for Man-Boy Love. That's part of this first heaven. Right? That's part of this rulership, these powers that be. So check this out. HB 6638 Pedophile Anti-Discrimination Bill.
So just when you think things could not get...
He got an accent. He got like a Scottish accent. So you got kind of, you know.
So just when you think things could not get any worse in the world, now they're trying to pass a paedophile law, okay? So this HB 6638 paedophile anti-discrimination bill, which has already been passed in the House apparently. So what this is attracted to MAP, right? So it basically means that you're attracted to a minor, all right? And what this is trying to do is attach it to the Q part of the LGBTQ plus AI, whatever it is. It's the whole alphabet at this stage, isn't it? But the Q part is a paedophile, right? And they want to be coming into this LGB community, and they want us all around them to accept the fact that they are a heinous, horrible, dirty, stinking paedophile, and we're supposed to be okay with that.
You see that? So you got L, G, you got the whole alphabet. I'm gonna just say the alphabet. And then they added pedophilia on there. You can look this up. So you know what that means? You know how you already can't say FAGGOT, right? Now you might be walking with your family, right? You at the grocery store. You might be at the bank, you know, you might be, you know, at the airport or, you know, whatever. And you see a 50-year-old man holding hands with a 10-year-old little boy. Then they start kissing in public. And guess what? You can't say anything. See, you can't say anything. You can't look their way. Don't even utter anything. If you say something, that's discrimination, and you're going to be questioned by the police, man. You're going to be fined, or you're going to be incarcerated. You bet not say nothing to that 50-year-old man and that 10-year-old little boy. You better mind your business. They've already conditioned you to accept man on man, women with women. Now you're being conditioned to accept a 50-year-old man and a 10-year-old boy. You are going to jail. So this place has to go, right? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Let's play a little bit more of this.
Because it's a sexual preference. So if a man wants to have sexual intercourse with my son, right? It's
all right. Okay. Now we get what he's saying, right? We get what he's saying, but I don't know why. See, Esau, you know, he doesn't know when to stop, right? But you get the point, right? All right, he's completely out of control for that. But you get the point. They passing these laws out here, man. Right? They're passing these laws, and this is further proof that he has turned civilization and turned the world upside down. Right? He has turned the world upside down, and everything is destroyed, and everything is out of course. And we pull this precept all the time. Let's go to Revelation 11, right? It's the classic. Revelation chapter 11 and 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. And that's why they're being broken apart and destroyed right now by the Most High, because they have destroyed the creation of the Lord. The earth was made for man to till and to create. There was a commandment given unto man from the very beginning. Have dominion. Let's get that in Genesis. To have dominion over the beasts of the field, over the fowls of the air. Right? This is Genesis chapter 1 and 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Now, if you're destroying all the earth, all of the fishes in the seas, all of the fowls of the air, you're destroying all of the cattle, you done killed off all of the bison, right? You're sticking magnets inside of the cattle. You destroyed the earth. Even the creeping things. They killed the bees off. I don't know if brother saw that, but they killed off all of the bees. You don't see bees how you used to. Right? When I was a kid, it was bees all over the place, man. Now you see one bee once a summer. I was watching this one video. I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but they were actually commanding these bee, I believe they call them bee farmers or bee honey harvesters, whatever. They were commanding them to burn all of their bees. They pulled up on them and said, you got to burn all these bees. And they said, why? They said, do what we told you to do. And they had to burn all of them bees. So he is in complete violation against the ordinances of Yahweh Bashmi Awashah. He is in complete violation. Because how are we going to be able to do this if the sea is defiled, if the fishes are killed off in radioactive waste, if the fowls are just falling out the sky, if the cattle are dying because there's no pastures, they're burning up green fields for data centers. They're cutting down all of the trees for the fowls of the air, for larger data centers that are heating up the earth, destroying the whole damn system. So he has to go. This is the first commandment given unto man. And this devil can't even keep that. Right? This earth was made to be tilled, to be taken care of. Let's get that in 2nd Ezra. And he did defiled and destroyed it. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and 42. It reads, upon the 3rd day didst thou command that the water should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. 6 parts hast thou dried up and kept them, to the intent that of these some being planted of God and tilled might serve thee. So the Lord made 6 parts of the earth that are dry land, that man could be on, till the earth, plant it, have dominion over cattle, rule God's creation. That's why man was made a little lower than the angels, to rule over the rest of the creation. Now, when the Lord gave us dominion in Genesis to rule over these creatures, it didn't mean exterminate them. It didn't mean destroy all of the fishes, crossbreed the animals, crossbreed all of the plants, put DNA in the plants, right? Destroy the seeds. That's not what the Lord told us to do. But that's the mind of the so-called white man. That is the mind of the so-called white man, right? That's why I had this too about the bees. Check this out. This is Nebraska Public Media News. Around 1.6 million bee colonies in the U.S. died in less than a year. And they're telling these people, destroy these bees. There are laws going out where they're telling the people, kill every bee you see. Every beehive, every colony, these bee farmers, burn them all up. We don't want that anymore. Well, who the hell is the so-called white man to say that, man? The Trump administration is planning to close a USDA facility that stepped in to help. Damn. Sparking concern among beekeepers and scientists. They killing the scientists. They killing the bees. Without bees, we'll lose at least 1/3 of the food we eat. And they know that. So they're looking to cause a famine on every level. They want to expedite the famine. They don't want anything pollinating the crops. They want to do the pollination. And they want to pollinate by using chemicals and destruction. The Most High already created a system. You don't need Monsanto. You don't need chemtrail. You don't need these things. The Most High made everything perfect. The Lord speaks about the bee in Sirach, the 11th chapter, right? That it's the little, but it brings forth the fruit of sweet things. You know, this Sirach 11 and 3. The bee is little among such as fly, but her fruit is the chief of sweet things. So this devil, man, he has to go, right? He has to go. Bees are butterflies are very important. Pollination is important. Don't you know that when the ark was built, the Most High had 7 of every clean animal on the ark and 2 of the unclean animal, and birds or fowls, they went by 7s on the ark. Why did they go by 7s on the ark? To keep seed alive on the earth, to help maintain the course of nature. Let me get that in Genesis, the 7th chapter. So you devils, man, you know nothing. You're not fit to run the earth. This is Genesis chapter 7 and verse number 2. Of every clean beast, thou shalt take to thee by 7s, the male and his female, and beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. So contrary to popular belief, all of the animals didn't go by 2s. Only unclean animals went by 2s. Clean animals went by 7s. So there should be more clean animals to eat and to sacrifice unto God upon the altar than unclean animals. Of fowls also of the air by 7s. So you have creeping things that fly that are considered fowls. According to Leviticus, the 11th chapter, you have actual fowls, right? And fowls also of the air by 7s, the male and his female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. This devil wants to kill the seeds. So he kills all of the fowls that keep seeds alive. He kills all of the bees. He kills all of the butterflies. He kills all of the birds that pick up seeds and replant the earth and follow the creation of God. They are programmed to do these things. He said, to hell with that, right? We're going to kill them all off. And if you get in our way, we're going to tell you to kill off all of your bees. This is wickedness, right? These are crimes against God. Crimes against the Most High God. Pedophilia laws, destroying the food, right? Which one is this? Charging for air, New World Order schemes, right? So there's a lot going. Which one is this? Okay, hold on. We got that. There's a lot going on in the earth, man. Right? There's a lot going on in the earth. So let's go back to this. Make sure I'm not sharing this. Okay, come. Right? Let's go back to this through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Abashai. Right? So the Most High, he himself has to cleanse the earth of all filthiness. Salakia. He has to cleanse the earth of all filthiness and all manner of confusion, man. That's what the Most High has to destroy the so-called white man, right? And take him out the land of the living. Let's go to Revelation chapter 20, right? This is Revelation chapter 20 and verse number 11. And I saw a great white throne and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was no place found for them. So everything we're going into, this represents, again, the first heaven and the first earth, right? And when John is saying this, he's seeing the Most High on the throne, and the powers of rulership are no longer ruling. That's what this means. Let's break it down. Again, Revelation chapter 20 and 11. And I saw a great white throne. Who's on the throne? The Most High, Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away. Does that mean the earth is literally running away? The heavens literally fled away? No, it's talking about all these powers that be are taken out, and there was no place found for them. Let's get a precept on that. There was no place found for them. Let's go to Revelation, the 12th chapter. Precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. That's talking about the destruction of the so-called white man. Revelation 12 and 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Right? So this is Michael the archangel and all of the angels fight against the so-called white man's air force. F-32 fighter jets, drones, stealth bombers. This is the war in heaven. Right? You're going to have war on the earth. As that Euphrates River's drying up with the kings of the east, NATO, America fighting out there in Israel, Syria, Lebanon. And then when Yahweh Shah returns, it's going to be war in heaven. But Michael's going to get the victory. That's why verse 8 says what? And prevailed not, neither was there a place found any more in heaven. This is the exact same thing as Revelation 20 and 11, where the Lord said there was no place found for them. Why isn't there a place found for them, for the heavens and the earth? Because they have been defeated by Yahweh Shai and Michael the archangel. And there's no more place found for them. No more wickedness, no more destroying the earth, no more polluting the air, no more oppressing the poor, no more robbing the Israelites, no more pedophilia, no more wicked islands, no more religion, no more false science, no more confusion. No place found for them. That's what Revelation chapter 20 and 11 is saying, where it reads again, and there was no place found for them. So the Bible explains itself. Because again, the earth and the heaven isn't going to flee away. The earth lasts forever. Right? That's Ecclesiastes. Let me get that real quick. The Lord said the earth abideth forever. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 4. One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. So the earth will always be here. Okay? No matter what. Right? And we brought this out, I believe, last week. Psalms chapter 115 and verse 16. The heaven, even the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth hath he given to the children of men. So the Most High is not going to destroy the earth. I don't care what evil villain you saw growing up who had a button to destroy the earth is always going to be here. Well, brother, what about global warming? What about climate change? What about Mars? Hey, look, stop. Come out of this damn fantasy, man. It ain't nobody going to Mars. Ain't nobody living in the moon. What about our colonies on planet X? What about that planet they saw that holds life? Leave it alone, man. That's that old wine. Well, brother, I was watching the movie Elysium, and they went up and they was dwelling there, and ain't nobody leaving the earth, man. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you not having no ain't no colonies on Mars. The earth was given to man, and man is always going to be on the earth. And you ain't leaving the firmament. I know a lot of brothers, you upset, and let it go. That's the old wine. That's the old garment. Understand the creation of the Most High and understand the purpose of the creation of the Most High. That's why I read that in 2 Ezra 6 and 42. The earth has to be tilled. The animals have to be taken care of. You can't just leave the earth and not have dominion over the creation of the Most High. Man plays a major factor in how things operate from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Right? Eat what they eat, and hunting and tilling the land and bringing forth crops, and man plays a major role in that. Let's not forget that. Right? So again, the earth and heaven fleeing away are the powers that be, the rulership of these different kingdoms and these different empires. Let's go to Revelation 21 and 11. 21 and 1, right? Let's read this. Revelation, we're going to go back to Revelation 20. Let's get another quick precept. Revelation 21 and 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. So now we understand what this means. This doesn't mean, again, for the 8th time, that the actual heavens are going to be destroyed. and the actual earth. This is speaking about John sending a new rulership into power, a new authority, a new government, a new king. That's what John is seeing. And when he said the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and there was no place found for them, because when Yahushua returns, he's taking all this out, man. America, China, Russia, Japan, Iran, everything's being taken out, and Yahushua is taking over. Ain't no more first heaven and first earth. That's temporary. That's what we live in now. And this place is falling. Let's go to and there's a precept that I had in mind through the Spirit. Let's go to Revelation 11. Let's get that. Right? This is Revelation chapter 11 and verse 15. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord, and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. Because when Yahushua returns, he's taking over all these kingdoms. And he's not sitting at the table. There will be no ceasefire when Yahushua returns. There will be no deal. There will be no treaties. It will be complete destruction, a bloodbath, heads rolling, blood on his garment. Yahushua said, I have trodden the winepress alone. And of the people, there was none with me. Let me get that real quick. Let's see if Yahushua is going to meet the so-called white man like a man. Right? So in Revelation 21, where he saw new heavens and a new earth, that is by means of the destruction that's coming with our Lord and King Yahushua. Isaiah saw it. Right? He saw it. Isaiah chapter 63 and 1. Who is this? This is a beautiful chapter right here. This is a beautiful chapter. Right? Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So Isaiah had a question. He had a legitimate question. He saw Yahushua returning from destroying the first heaven and the first earth. That's what Edom represents. Edom, just like all these other kingdoms, are the first heaven and the first earth. Let me get that in Isaiah 34. Quick precept, and I'm going to go back to it. Right? Isaiah 34 and 5. It reads, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and the people of my curse to judgment. So who's the heaven that's being taken down? The Idumeans. Who are the Idumeans? The Edomites. Who's the Edomites? The so-called white man. Your neighborhood friendly neighborhood so-called white man. And his sword and his destruction is going to be saturated in the land of the Edomites. Primarily America and these other parts of the earth. That's why I said it's bathed in heaven, because they are the powers of heaven, right? So Isaiah saw Yahushua coming from taking down the first heaven. And he asked the question. So who is this? Because he didn't know, right? He saw a vision. Who is this that's coming from destroying the so-called white man? Why is his garment dyed? And he got an answer. This that is, or he asked the follow-up question. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. Who's this strong, mighty man coming from destroying the so-called white man? He got an answer. Here's what the Lord said. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. He said, that's me. Yahushua said, it's me. I speak the truth and I'm here to save. That's the answer to your question. But Isaiah, he wasn't content. Isaiah had more on his mind. He asked another question. He said in verse 2, well, I get that, but he said, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like hemp that treadeth in the wine fat? He's okay, I get it. All right, you speak in righteousness, you're mighty to save. But why is your garment all red? Why does it look like you was treading in grapes of wine? What happened? What is that on your garment? Yahushua answered, what did he say? In verse 3, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. He said, you want to know why my garment is red? Because I done chopped off and killed many so-called white men, many so-called white women. I've destroyed many so-called white children that all of their blood has soaked my garment. Imagine jumping into a pool with your clothes on, full garment, and then getting out. So you got to think about there's weight that comes with that's kind of heavy. It's kind of hard to move a little bit. It wasn't just like a little stain. His garment was stained and drenched in the blood of the so-called white man. Isaiah 63:4. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. So that's beautiful right there, right? That's how the first heaven and the first earth is passing away. That's what Isaiah 34:5 is talking about. Now let's go back to Revelation 21. Right? Most High willing, we're getting the understanding. Let's read it again. Revelation 21:1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. And really, when you go into this word new, let's go into this word in the Greek. Let's kind of chop it up a little bit further. This word is kainos. Right? Now, they should say refreshed. Right? That should be the word because it doesn't mean literally new, it just means refreshed. All right? It says recently made fresh, recent, unused, unworn. So the new heavens is a refreshed state of the world, a refreshed kingdom with new laws, a refreshed rulership. Right? It doesn't mean literally new. See this? Here's more in this word kainos. New, especially in freshness. Right? In freshness. The Lord said in Acts, let's get a precept in Acts 3. Acts 3:19. Freshness, right? Acts chapter 3:19. Repent ye therefore and be converted, that your sins may be blotted out, when the times of refreshing shall come from the presence of the Lord. The times of refreshing is the time that the new heavens and the new earth is created. That's the refreshing. That's that kainos. Let's get second Ezra. Let's go back to second Ezra 11. Right? Maybe think of this as well through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, right? Second Ezra 11, and I want to get this again, 46. This is after the fall of the so-called white man. It reads that all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. So the earth being refreshed in the time of refreshing is what John is mentioning in Revelation chapter 21:1, the new heavens and the new earth, right? Most High willing brothers understand that. It reads again in this verse, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Why were they passed away? Because Yahweh Shai returned and took them all out and destroyed them. And no more sea, meaning no more rulership of the nations, right? The nations are likened to a sea. Let's get one quick precept on that. Let's do Isaiah 17. One quick precept. This is Isaiah 17:12. To prove that the nations are or the sea is a similitude for the nations. Woe to the multitude of many people, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. So the nations are likened to seas, right? Due to how they're always in a state of confusion and a tumult. Okay. Let's read on. Revelation 21 and 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So a lot of, I believe, Jehovah Witness and other forms of Christianity, they actually teach and believe that there's an actual city when a new heaven and a new earth is established that will come out of the sky, right? And you can even, look stuff like that up. Let's do Holy Jerusalem coming from heaven, right? They actually believe this. That John did see an actual city coming down, but it's a similitude. It's not literal. You know how you know it's not literal? Because we know prophetically that the heathen are going to build up the walls. They're going to build up the kingdom of heaven, right? That's Isaiah 60 and 10 on down. They're going to be put into slavery. So we know that there's not an actual city coming down. It's really speaking about the people. The people, we are that holy city that's coming down from heaven, right? And we're going to come down from heaven, and we're not going to be nice, right? We're not coming to talk. We're not coming to okay, let's work this out. The scriptures tell you, when we come down, what we coming down to do? We're that holy city. Let's jump down to Revelation 21 and 9. Let's read a little bit more about this. Revelation chapter 21 and 9. And there came unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show thee the bride, the Lamb's wife. Who's the Lamb's wife? The elect of Israel, right? Let's prove that. So the angel said, I'm going to show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. We are the wife of the Lamb. Let's go to Revelation 19. We are the wife of the Lamb. Not the so-called white man. Not the Chinese man. Revelation chapter 9. I know everybody want to save these other nations, and they're not part of this wedding. Okay? Revelation 19 and 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. Who are the saints? The Israelites. Psalms 50 and 5, Psalms 148 and 14. So we're the bride. We are the Lamb's wife. Let's go to Isaiah 54. I know we're shooting off these precepts, but we have to do this to explain what the Bible is mentioning. Isaiah chapter 54, and we'll read verse number 5. For thy maker is thine husband. The Lord of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the God of the whole earth shall he be called. So the Most High is our husband on a spiritual level. And we're married to him and bound by a marriage covenant, which are the laws and the statutes and the commandments. That's our instruments of covenant. The Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth, when thou wast refused, saith thy God. So again, we're that wife, we're that bride in Revelation 21 and 9. And the wedding is when we are completely one with our husband, Yahweh Shai. It's completely metaphoric. So let's read on. John is about to see the Lamb's wife. And he's going to describe the Lamb's wife as a city, because the Lamb's wife has always been described as an actual city. right? Let me prove that as well. Let's go to Isaiah 52 to prove that the Lamb's wife is always referred to as the holy city. Isaiah chapter 52 and 1. Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. So the Lord said, wake up to this truth. You hear me knocking at the door. You hear these precepts coming out. Take off the garments of shame. Take off the garments of Christianity. Take off Islam and put on righteousness. Fine linen. You are the holy city. Right? So that's what John is talking about. You know? So a lot of brothers jump into the book of Revelation, but they believe that this is an actual city, man. That's what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe. Speaking about us. A similitude, a parable, a dark saying, a riddle, allegories. They're all throughout the Bible. You know? So let's read on. This is Revelation chapter 21 and 10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. So who's the holy city? Who's the great city? The elect, the 1/3. All right. And John, he physically sees a city, but it's a similitude for the Israelites through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmel Shah, descending out of heaven from God. Verse number 11. Having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. So we're going to be full of light. Why are we going to be full of light? Like a stone most precious and clear as crystal, because we are going to have immortal bodies. We're going to come down out of heaven with spiritual bodies, with bodies that cannot die, bodies that cannot feel pain, bodies that don't itch, don't get vexed, don't have anguish, no more depression, no more sorrow, no more temptations. You're going to be full of the Most High Spirit, right? That's what the Most High is speaking about, right? Let me get that, and let's get 1 Corinthians 15, just to prove that we're coming down with glorified bodies. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and I'll read 54. So in this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality. Then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. So we're going to go through a metamorphosis. The same way a caterpillar goes and becomes a butterfly or becomes a moth, or these animals for a change form, we're going to change form. You're going to go from this corruptible body that you have right now, you're going to go to an incorruptible body, a spiritual body. Your body's going to change in a twinkling of an eye, just like that. And you're going to become immortal. And you're going to live forever. Right? So we're going to come down glorious, man. We might have an actual glow. Remember when in Daniel the 10th chapter, 5 on down, when Daniel saw Yahweh Shah, it says he had his face was as the appearance of lightning, because he had that powerful countenance. When Moses came down from the mount, his face and skin was shining. So we're going to have a glow. And I ain't talking about a glow when you put your oil on and, you know, you got your thing going. No, we're talking about a real beautiful glow of the spirit. Ain't nobody coming down ashy, man. Stains on your clothes. Oh, I forgot. Jake, forget every damn thing. I forgot. You ain't going to forget nothing, man. We coming down in order. you know, and you coming down glorious. Let's read on. Revelation, and you ain't gonna be no paralyzed Israelite. Ain't gonna be no, well, this brother in the hospital. I can't see, I'm blind. Everything's gonna be perfect. You're gonna hear things you never heard before. Your hearing is gonna be perfect. Your vision is gonna be perfect. You're gonna hear music a lot better. You're gonna see things that you never saw before. Jake, you don't have good vision, man. Jake got glaucoma, and you got a glass eye, and a fake knee and a fake hip, all these surgeries. And even when I moved, man, my damn ankle hurt. I came from camp, my ankle was hurting. All hell be breaking loose. But you're going to come down perfect. Let's read on. So again, John is describing the elect, but he's describing them as a city. The new heavens and the new earth is going to be ran by the holy city. Revelation chapter 21 and 12. It had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So this ain't for everybody, right? This is not for the so-called white man, Chinese man, Korean man, Japanese man. I don't care if they're your best friend, they're your long-lost cousin, they're your favorite co-worker. They're not making it. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Right? Because we as a city, our foundation starts with Yahushua as the chief cornerstone, and then the groundwork was laid by the apostles. Okay, that's what Revelation 21 and 4 is talking about. It started with the cornerstone. Right, let's do Psalms. Let's do Isaiah. I believe that's Isaiah 28. Right? It started with Yahushua as the cornerstone. And then it was the foundation of the apostles. Right? He passed the torch to Peter, John, and James, and the rest of the apostles of the Lord. Isaiah chapter 28 and 16. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste. Is there an actual stone laying around that we need? Okay, where's the stone? Got to find the stone. No. It's speaking about Yahushua being the foundation for the temple. He's the foundation for the holy city. And the other stones that followed are the 12. Right? Let's get Ephesians chapter 2. So Revelation 21 is not an actual city. Right? It's speaking about a people. Right? The new heavens and the new earth. A new government. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse number 20. And are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Yahushua HaMashiach himself being the chief cornerstone. So we all came into this truth, and our understanding, it all started with Yahushua and the 12. Okay, we wouldn't be here without Yahushua. We wouldn't be here without the 12. That's where they're the foundation. Right? They were baptizing people and bringing people to the Lord, 3,000 souls in one day. When the last time you heard a brother bring 3,000, I don't care how big the congregation is, how many years they've been in the truth. When the last time you saw one cat bring 3,000 brothers into the truth in one day? The apostles was doing that. The Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. They was on fire. They were on fire. Go back and read the first few chapters in Acts. You had men that wanted to just be in the shadow of Peter and John. There was nobody more famous on the earth than Yahushua. Second, there was nobody more famous than the apostles. When they walked, they were like, people talk about the Beatles. They talk about Michael Jackson. They talk about the Rolling, or the what they call them, Rolling Stones, whatever these bands were. Don't you know them crowds that you watch on Michael Jackson? That's just a fraction of what the apostles had to deal with, what Yahweh had to deal with. They were thronging the Lord, man. Scriptures tell you they were breaking up roofs. Damn, they're beating down houses to get to the Lord. So they're the foundation of this truth. That's what Revelation. Let me go back to this and read this. That's what Revelation 21 is talking about. But let's read on in Ephesians 2 and 21. In whom all the building fitly framed together groweth into an holy temple in the Lord. Okay. So in Revelation 21 and 14, it's speaking about the elect, and their foundation and origin starts with the work of the 12 apostles and their dedication, and they gave their lives, and they were all martyred for Yahweh Basham Yahushai, with the exception of John. Yahushua said, you're going to sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Let's pay some respect to the apostles, man. Let's put some respect on the apostles' names. Put some respect on the 12's names, man, because they're going to be ruling. Oh, what did I do? Right? Salakia. Okay, they're going to be ruling the new heavens and the new earth. Matthew chapter 19 and verse number 28. And Yahushua has said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me, and the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. That's beautiful, man. 12 thrones, and they're going to have crowns. The 12 are going to be so marvelous, so glorious. There will be nobody above Yahushua the 12. You know? And they're going to be putting brothers in order through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Yahushua. You know? And everything's going to be set in its proper place. So let's go back to Revelation 21. Revelation 21 and 15. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof and the wall thereof. So the angel is measuring the city. He's looking, a measurement is for judgment, right? He's looking at who's who, right? And what position they're going to have. And he's going to break it down. And if the city's perfect or not, as he judges it. Is there any sin? Is there wickedness? Is there confusion there? You know? And the city lieth foursquare. The length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And that's spiritual. Right? Now, when you, again, were in Christianity, they often broke this down as a big cube coming down from heaven. Right? Brothers may read that and think there's a huge cube coming down from heaven. But that's not what Revelation 21 is talking about. See, in order to break this down, you would have to know the law. Because the elect are being likened unto the oracle of God and the most holy place. So pay attention to the dimensions of the city. The length, the breadth, and the height of it are equal. Let's go to 1 Kings. So you have to know what happened with the tabernacle, right? And the altar. This is 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse number 19. This is the building of Solomon's temple. But the dimensions, as we're about to read, of the most holy place are the same as the elect. 1 Kings 6 and 19. And the oracle he prepared in the house within to set there the ark of the covenant of the Lord. And the oracle and the forepart was 20 cubits in length, 20 cubits in breadth, and 20 cubits in the height thereof. So the length, the breadth, and the height were all equal, right? This is where the Ark of the Covenant was. And this is where you had direct access to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So in the same capacity, the elect, their length, their breadth, and their height are equal, because in order for the nation to serve the Most High, you have to go directly to them. That's why the Most High gave the elect the exact same dimensions as the temple and the oracle in the most holy place. Right? Let's read on. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and so covered the altar, which was of cedar. So these things are mentioned for our learning. So let's read Revelation 21:16 again. And the city lieth 4 square. The length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. And 12 is just a number in Revelation 21 that's used for completion. Okay? That's all it is. You have the 12 tribes of Israel. You got the 12 apostles. You got the 12 major constellations, right? You got the 12 sons of Jacob. 12 is a number prominently used in the Bible. And the Most High deals with the number 12 on a very high level. Okay? The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And I want to touch on this part very quickly, the city lying 4 square, right? Because when you look at, let's get this in Exodus. I didn't plan on going to this. I believe this is Exodus 28, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, this Exodus chapter 28. And I want to get the dimensions of, here it is, of the breastplate of judgment for the high priest. Okay, so this Exodus chapter 28 and 15. So check this out. This is for what the high priest would wear. He would have his ephod and he would have the breastplate of judgment. But look at the dimensions again and how it relates directly to what John is saying in Revelation 21. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work. After the work of the ephod, thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. 4 square it shall be, being doubled. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. So the Most High deals with a just balance, right? Where everything's equal. The Most High ways are equal. So when you had the breastplate of judgment for the priest, it was also 4 square. And that's where you had all of the 12 stones, right? You had, each stone for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. But it was on something that was 4 square, which represents the judgment and justice and how the Most High ways are equal. Something's 4 square and it's equal. Okay, let's get that in Ezekiel 28. So precept must be upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Ezekiel 18 and 25. Let's read that. Ezekiel chapter 18 and 25. Yet ye say, the way of the Lord is not equal. Hear now, O house of Israel, is not my way equal? Are not your ways unequal? So everything about the Most High is equal, right? The length, the height, the breadth is all equal. 4 square, it's all equal. There's nothing crooked or perverse in his ways, right? There's a precept, boy, man, Most High willing, it comes to me. Let me just type, there's nothing crooked or perverse. Let me get that real quick. See, now we're cooking through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Right? Let me get this. I'm gonna get this. And I have to find it. But I'll get this instead, right? This is Deuteronomy. Actually, we'll get this, right? We'll go to Proverbs. The scriptures say there's nothing forward or perverse in them, right? But I'll get this in Proverbs 2 and 15. Whose ways are crooked and they forward in their paths. So the evil man, when you read this, the so-called white man, that's this evil man in Proverbs 2 and 12. His ways are crooked. His ways are not foursquare. He's all over the damn place, man. 1 minute he wants war, then he breaks, then he wants peace, then he breaks his covenant. 1 minute he's your friend, then he stabs you in the back. 1 minute he's weeping, next minute he sells his birthright. Everything about this society is crooked. This great city, Babylon the Great, is crooked. Let's go to Philippians 2 and 15. Foursquare, it is not equal. Philippians chapter 2 and 15. That ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world. So Babylon the Great, this great city that reigns over the kings of the earth, is crooked and perverse. It is not equal, and it is not foursquare. What does the word crooked mean? Right? So there, when you look at this image, get Christianity out of your mind, and let's go through the precepts, and we're breaking it down. Okay? Crooked definition. Not straight, symmetrical, or aligned. You see that? The Most High deals with symmetry. He deals with harmony. He deals with cycles. He deals with order. Everything is symmetrical. Everything's clean. Right? So-called white man, he's not straight. His paths are crooked. He's double-minded. He's given to change. He's given to confusion. And it's just out of order. See, that's symmetrical. Right? Now, the opposite of symmetrical is asymmetrical, if I'm not mistaken. Let's get that. Right? Asymmetrical, that lack balanced proportions, meaning their two sides or halves are different in shape, size, or style. Right? Uneven, lopsided, unbalanced, irregular. Okay? Right? So again, crooked means wickedness, and imbalanced, double-minded, and confusion. Babylon the Great is a crooked and perverse nation. So Most High willing brothers understand why the dimensions in Revelation 21 and 16 are what they are. Why is it foursquare? Why is the length and the breadth and the height equal? Because it represents the holy place and the temple. The elect are now the source where you need to learn about God. You have to go through them as they fulfill their role as a nation of kings and priests on the earth. And it's foursquare because everything's equal. Everybody is going to have the laws in their inward parts. Everybody has the same body, the same judgment, and same perfect ways. Let's read on. Revelation chapter 21 and 17. And he measured the wall thereof, and 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is of the angel. So why is it 144 cubits? Because 144 is the number of the elect. Okay? Let's get that in Revelation 14. 144 cubits. All these numbers are used in a manner to describe the elect. Revelation 14 and 1. Let me get straight to the point. Revelation 14 and 3. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. See the 144,000 right there. They are the elite ruling class of the 1/3. Okay, they are the elite ruling class of the 1/3, the ruling government of the new kingdoms and the new heaven and the new earth that is going to be established by Yahweh, Bashmi Awashah. Right? So that's why the people are being likened to a wall. Okay? Let me get this precept in Song of Solomon. Right? We're going through a lot of precepts. So most I willing, everything is making sense, man. We know what Revelation could be a complicated book in the new heavens and the new earth, but we want to, take our time. And that's all right. Brothers could pause this. You can always rewind it, go back, revisit your notes. But, we want to get this understanding in the last days. Song of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse 10. I am a wall, and my breast like towers. Then was I in his eyes as one that found favor. So the elect are like a strong wall, like towers. Okay. So the wall in Revelation 21 was 144,000 and its dimensions. That's the measure of a man that the angel measured, because man can be part of the 144,000, right? And man are likened unto walls. Revelation 21 and 8. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Now, brothers never had that kind of gold. Brothers never had gold that's so perfect, so pure, you see right through it. These rappers don't got that, man. I ain't never seen no celebrity with a chain on with pure gold and you can see right through the gold. No. But that's how the elect are described. And don't get me wrong, when you read Tobit, the 14th chapter, you read about how the city is going to get built up with precious stones on a physical level. But we're breaking this down in a manner that John saw the holy city as the people, with the foundation being the 12 and a cornerstone being Yahweh Shai. Revelation 21 and 19. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third a chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth a topaz, the 10th a chrysoprasus, the 11th jacinth, the 12th an amethyst. Now, half of this stuff brothers ain't never heard of or seen growing up. You might have seen a diamond, platinum, silver, rose gold, silver dipped in gold. How many brothers seen chrysolite? Chrysoprasus. Let's pull up chrysolite. Let's pull that up, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashah. Ain't nobody walking around with no chrysolite. These elites probably got some chrysolite, mining and digging. Look at that. Imagine you find that's valuable, extremely valuable. Right? Let me see. You go shopping. What they talking? See, this it's not really $18. That's how you know it's not real. Look at that, $8. That's not real chrysolite. That's something they made in some sweatshop. So that's chrysolite. Now let's pull up chrysoprasus. Right? These are beautiful stones. That Jake, we're not used to these things, man. Here's chrysoprasus. Look at that. Right? So that's beautiful, man. That is beautiful through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashah. These are beautiful stones. Let's pull up jacinth. Just going to a few of these ones that may not be too familiar with our people. Now that joint, this is crazy right here, man. This one is mighty too. All these are beautiful. That dark red, you know, like a slight brown to it. There are beautiful gems in the earth. Let's do sardonyx. All right, let's pull that one up through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. Here's sardonyx. Right, you see that? That one, this is more of a smoother style. So these are the precious stones that you read about in Revelation, the 21st chapter. Okay? And when you read about the high priest back in Exodus 28, some of these stones he actually had, if you do a comparison. Some of these stones he had the amethyst, you know, he had the emerald, he had some of these stones. So that's why, again, the same manner of stones in terms of the number are being used for the city because it's for the 12 tribes. Revelation 21 and 21. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one part, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. So all perfection. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. Right? Because we're going to dwell in the Most High. Right? We're going to dwell in Yahweh Shai. They're a temple for us. And if you're in this truth, you live in Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Shai lives in you. That's where they're being called the temple. In John, the 2nd chapter, Yahweh Shai said, destroy this temple. Slakia. Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. And he was speaking about his body. Now, you are going to have a physical temple in the kingdom, but on a spiritual level, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai is the temple. Okay, let's get that in John. All right, John, the 2nd chapter. This is John chapter 2 and 19. Here's what the Lord said. Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building, but thou rear it up in 3 days? Because Herod spent a lot of time building the temple. 46 years, and it was still building. They were adding to it to that day. So he said, how are you going to destroy this and build it up in 3 days when it took 46 years to build? But what? Verse 21. But he spake of the temple of his body. Right? So if you're in this truth, and even in the kingdom, you're going to always be in the body of Yahweh Shai. You're going to be in these scriptures and applying the words of the Lord. Let's go to John, the 14th chapter. John chapter 14 and 23. Yahweh Shai answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and will come unto him and make our abode with him. So you're a temple, and the Most High, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, they dwell in you. That's why you can't defile your temple. Yahweh Shai is a temple, and you dwell in him. Right? That's a beautiful understanding. The Lord is in us, and we are in the Lord. That's why Yahweh Shai said, I and my Father are one. Right? And we're one with Yahweh Shai. He prayed for that in John, the 17th chapter, that we may be one. So we live in him, and he lives in us. We're in his temple, he's in our temple. In the kingdom of heaven, we're going to serve and be inside Yahweh Bashmiel Shai day and night. We'll never leave Yahweh Shai. In Revelation, the 7th chapter, let's get another quick precept about us being in that temple. This is Revelation 7, and I want to get, here it is, Revelation 7 and 15. Therefore are they before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. And this isn't talking about the third heaven, right? This is speaking about us never leaving this truth, never leaving Yahweh Shai. The Lord dwelling amongst us, and we're dwelling in the Lord. Okay, we're going to always serve the Lord day and night in his temple because the laws are going to be in our inward parts, right? It's going to be in our inward parts and we're going to be made perfect. Revelation 21 and 23. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God to enlighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Does this mean in the kingdom of heaven, you're not going to have a sun? You're not going to have a moon? Is that literal? The Most High is going to blow up the sun, turn the moon off? No, the moon is a sign of feast, right? The ordinances of the heaven are forever. That's in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter, right? So you can't say, well, I heard in the kingdom it ain't going to be no actual sun. Remember, Revelation is parabolic. It is not meant to be taken literal. Well, brother, how are we going to see? Well, brother, what are we going to do, brother? How are we going to know what day it is? All right, this is Revelation chapter 21 and verse 30. Revelation, Jeremiah, I'm getting excited. Jeremiah 31 and 35. The Lord said, from one new moon to another, and for one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come and worship me. So you're going to have the moon so everybody knows it's the new moon. You're going to have the sun to know when the days are going to end. So no sun and no moon is not literal. I'm going to read this verse and we're going to break it down. Jeremiah 31 and 35. Thus said the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar, the Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, said the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. So if the Lord disannulled the sun and the moon, he disannulled the promise he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we know God is not a man that he should lie, neither the son of man that he should repent. His word is above his name. So the Most High word is bond. And that's a very, 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 very high level understatement. The Most High made a promise. He's going to keep it, right? So what does this mean? The city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. For the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. So right now, we are being moved by the sun and the moon, which is a parable or a metaphor rather for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's all it means. All right. So right now we have a physical Bible. We're physically being taught. We physically learn from the lessons from the servants of the Lord. But in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to have all that in our inward part. So we're not going to have need of the sun or the moon. The Most High is going to be that perpetual light in us, right? By means of the new covenant and by means of the Holy Spirit. And all of the nations are going to walk in our light. But let's get a precept about the city not needing the sun nor the moon. The sun and the moon represent wisdom and knowledge and understanding. They were created to give forth light. All right. Let's go to Proverbs 6 and 23. Right? They were created to bring forth light. That's Genesis 1. Right? Proverbs 6 and 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So the sun and the moon bring forth light, which is a metaphor for us being taught and being reproved and receiving instruction in the law. All right. That's all they're saying on a spiritual level, because that's what the sun and the moon provide unto us. They provide light. Our light right now comes by reading these precepts, reading the Bible, and the Lord teaching us and guiding us. But our knowledge is limited. Our prophecies are in part. And we don't know everything. So our shining It's not forever. So we need the Lord to lighten us, right? By means of the new covenant and by means of the laws being put in our inward parts. Right now, the sun and the moon operates the so-called white man. Let's go to Isaiah 24 as well, right? On the left-hand side. Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 23. Then the moon shall be confounded and the sun ashamed, when the Lord of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem before his ancients gloriously. So when the so-called white man is taken out and the Most High is ruling, the sun is going to be ashamed and the moon confounded. Is that literal? No, this is called personification, where inanimate objects or animals take on the traits of actual people. So the Lord is just saying that the understanding of the so-called white man is going to be shut down. All this technology, all this science, all this military might is going to be shut down when Yahweh Shah returns. Let's go to Isaiah 13. One more on that, right? Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 10. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened and is going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. When Yahweh shall cut these kingdoms out, he's cutting off their sun and their moon. Now for us, the Lord is going to cut off our sun and our moon. And he's going to give us the laws in our inward parts. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me from the least to the greatest. Right? So let's go back to Revelation 21 and 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. So all of the nations are going to have to follow our light. They're going to have to wear fringes, keep the new moon, keep the Sabbath day, grow their beard out. I bet, and we ain't going to see nobody. I'm going to put it like this. It's going to be a problem if we see somebody shaving their beard. If a Moabite don't want to keep the Sabbath day, it's going to be a problem. We're going to blow that shofar, and they're going to come out them shanty towns. That's how them heathen going to live. They're going to live in a shanty town. Let's pull that up. Right? That's how they're going to be living, man. You know? I don't know how they get down out of here, but they're going to be living in shanty towns. They're going to be living in the ghetto, and we're going to come with that shofar. We're going to blow that trumpet. It's going to be the Shabbat, and they're going to have to go and serve the Lord. And we're going to do inspections, man. We're going to make sure that everybody is out their damn house. We're kicking doors down. And you might kick a door down. There might be a Moabite family in there. And you say, get your ass up, man. It's the Sabbath day. He might say, I'm not getting up. He might say, to hell with the Sabbath. He might say, I'm doing my own damn thing. He might try to throw something at you. He might go on a rant. I'm sick of the new moon. I'm sick of the Sabbath. I'm sick of serving the Lord. And guess what you're going to do? You know what you're going to do? You're going to bring them out. You're going to blow that shofar. You're going to bring them out. And people die on the Sabbath day. Didn't the man in Numbers, the 15th chapter, get stoned? You think people didn't die on the Shabbat? You broke the Sabbath. You were dead. You're going to bring this guy out, man. And you're going to bring everybody in this shanty town out. They all going to come out. And you're going to execute this guy publicly and his family. And everybody's going to know about it, man. So you're going, It's going to be a lot of complaining. They're going to be in these shanty towns, ghettos. Look at this. Hold on, let me go to this one. Look at this one. See, we like this, man. This is what we like going into. A slum. That's another word. Let's pull up the slums. Right? They're going to be in the slums. You know? It's going to stink. And we bet not see nobody dealing with an animal. Dealing, you know, we're going to run a tight ship. We're going to run a very tight ship. And they're going to have to walk in our light. And you know how vile these nations are, man. Them Hamites, man, you might catch a Hamite drinking blood in the middle of the night. You might catch an Edomite in the sheepfold. They call it the sheep. Where the sheep at, man? Making a move on the sheep. You have to shut that down. Everybody gonna be forced to keep the law and walk in our light. Just like now, you gotta walk, you're forced to walk in the light of the so-called white man. You gotta wear his suits and ties, you gotta speak his language, you gotta shake his hand, you gotta keep his laws, you gotta keep his commandments, you gotta keep his statutes. You go before his judges, you get disciplined. The Most High in the new heavens and the new earth, it's going to be a role reversal, right? Everybody's going to have to walk in our light. Let's get that in Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse number 1. It's going to be a lot, it's going to be a lot of correcting in the kingdom. It's going to be a lot of teaching, a lot of correction. A lot of people dying, you know? People ain't getting no rain. Sneaking off while the word is coming out. You're going to have runaways. You're going to have rebellion. This Isaiah chapter 2 and 2, especially from them Edomites and them Hamites. We're going to have to beat them. They're going to have to be made an example of. Isaiah 2 and 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. So everybody's going to have to come to Jerusalem and they're going to have to learn the law. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So they're going to learn the dietary law. Here's the new moon. Here's this feast day. Here's this ordinance. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, come ye, let us walk in the light of the Lord. So right now we're walking in the light of the Lord, but in due time, these other nations, they're going to have to walk in that light. And they're going to have to forget it. Ain't no Big Macs, McDonald's. They're going to be thinking about Walmart, McDonald's. You have to forget all that, man. It's a new heaven and a new earth. The former shall not be remembered, nor come to mind. Let's get that back in Isaiah 65. And I'm excited, man. You know, I'm excited. Most High willing we make it. Most High willing we get beamed up. Most High willing, you know, the Lord establish us in righteousness. But I want to rule over these heathen. I'm not even going to act like I don't, man. I want our people to be protected, secure, safe, in prosperity. And when it's time, if it's our lot, we want to beat these heathen into subjection. We're going to have to change their names too. to Hebrew names. If you got a Japanese name, we don't want to hear that. You got an English name, Brad, we don't want to hear that. We're going to change your names. They changed Joseph's name. They changed Daniel's name to Belshazzar. Everybody knows Hananiah, Azariah, Mishael as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those ain't their names, man. So we're going to do some name changing. And I bet it's going to be like roots. It's going to be a lot, man. You got to think about all of the, we meditate on these things. You're going to give these heathen names and they're going to act like they ain't hear you. And that's going to be another situation. Isaiah 65:17. For behold, I create new heavens and the new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. So all this destruction, right? All these wars, the Moabite man even said the U.S. only went 16 years without war. We're not going to have war in the kingdom. We read that in Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. All this New World Order talk. What's this? Charging people for air. Charging people for soil. Putting the price on the water. You ain't going to have that. This will not be remembered and ain't going to come to our mind. We're going to have in our mind true judgments. Injecting all of the crops and the food with diseases. RNA, that's wickedness. It's like RNA is like in your blood, if I'm not mistaken. Your cells, your blood. You're making everybody violate the laws of God. We're not going to have genetic reprogramming machines in the kingdom. This shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. You're not going to have pedophile laws. Where you could just let them do what they want to do, or minor attracted people. That's the first heaven. That all of this is the first earth. Right? You're not going to have these smart cities and 15-minute cities where they just control all of the land, confine you to a 15-minute city, lock you in, charge you for breath. Every car's the same. You can only travel this much gas. Every house is going to look the same. They want everybody to be robots. No more creativity. That's why they give you all this AI and chat GPT to reduce your creativity and independence. No more artwork. No more self-discovery. Everything's going to be programmed. This is what they want. And set it up. You can only have 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. Here's their digital ID. They can only stay in this city. If they want to leave their city, they have to check in with their governor, right? Or they have to have a certain amount of points. If you want to drive your car, you can only drive your car this many miles per month or per week. And they damn near might just deliver your food to you. Rations of food, fake meat, fake lettuce. Like they used to have the milkman back in the day. They might bring that stuff back, man. You might not be able to go grocery shopping. And if you do, all of the food is going to be defiled. Well, rather more defiled than it is. You know? So they want to confine everybody to these 15-minute cities. So let's read this real quick. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The starting gun is fired. Smart city. Geopolitics works like a Swiss clock. More money, digital ID, fewer cars. And Mexico, they got that digital ID, right? And they getting rid of all of the cash. Fewer cars. You're going to have to buy everything within a 15-kilometer radius. Fewer small property owners. All of it controlled everywhere and above. It's like, and above all, don't film. Yeah, you ain't gonna be able to film nothing. No more free speech. You're just gonna be a slave. They want everybody to be a slave and be conformed in your right hand and your forehead. That's what Yahweh Shai has to destroy this place, man. Imagine being here 300 more years. All hell is breaking. All hell will break loose. Let me see if they got this in English. They got that in English. Some neighborhoods are managed by private. Yeah, like BlackRock. They buying up all of the houses. Bill Gates in China, they buying up all of the lands. You ain't gonna be able to own nothing. Part of the it's like your motto of the World Economic Forum was you will own nothing and be happy. Right? Let me get that. You will own nothing and be happy. Is a phrase originating from a 2016 World Economic Forum prediction visualizing a future by 2030 where products are provided as services. Yeah, air. Hey, cut your damn air off in your house. Heat, gas, a car. How many steps did you take today? How much light did you use? Use too much light, you get a knock at your door. Yeah, and then he's take you to prison, or you use this many kilowatts. You can only use this many kilowatts today. You go over, and you're gonna get put to death. This is called a dystopian, totalitarian government. Nobody's gonna be able to own your own house. You ain't just gonna be able to go fishing. You have to check in. You ain't gonna be able to just grow your own tomatoes. All freedom and liberty is coming to an end as long as this so-called white man rules, man. Let me get a precept. I believe that's Isaiah the 8th chapter. Woe unto them that join house to house. Maybe the 5th chapter. So Salaki, let me get that. I haven't brought this one out in a while. Here it is. Isaiah chapter 5 and 8. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. And that's wicked, man. That's wickedness. You join house to house and lay field to field. Confine everybody to small cities, and you have the great portions of the earth to freak off. Let's get that in another translation. Isaiah 5 and 8. Right? Let's get that in another translation. Isaiah 5 and 8. Let's do NLT, see what it says. I want Isaiah, Slakia. What sorrow for you who buy up house after house and field after field until everyone, let me go back to it. Oh boy, see that? Let me get this going again. Salakia. Oh boy. Okay, here it is. So Salakia. What sorrow for you who buy up house after house and field after field until everyone is evicted and you live alone in the land. This verse pronounces judgment against greed, specifically the hoarding of property and displacement of others. So that's wickedness, man. 15-minute cities are in direct violation of the laws of God. Their new world order and plans and agenda are in the Lord said, woe unto you. Look at this. Let's read a little bit more on this. This verse is part of a series of woes and Isaiah 5 targeting social injustice. Think about America. Think about this Agenda 2030. greed, and materialism in Israel and Judah. But right now we're talking about the so-called white man. The sin. The affluent, meaning the rich elites, were accumulating land and housing, creating massive estates while displacing poor citizens. The passage indicates that these hoarded, luxurious mansions would eventually be left empty and desolate. You see that? So that's why you got BlackRock and these other corporations buying up all of the homes. Or they say, but they're buying up complexes, right? BlackRock is buying up all types of, it may not necessarily be residential homes, but they're buying up companies, they're buying up real estate. Not as saying they don't. See, now you got to be careful. You can't even get the truth. They are buying it up, right? You have these elite companies buying up every damn thing, man. You know, they're buying up corporations, they're buying up real estate, they're buying up everything. And they're owned and operated by the so-called Jew, right? So back in Revelation 21, they're going to have to walk in our laws, and they're going to have to walk in our light. They're going to have to conform themselves to the laws of the Most High God. Let's go back to Isaiah 65 and read where we left off. Isaiah chapter 65 and verse number 17 again. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem, a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. Imagine that. No more crying, sorrow, oppression, sadness, work, anxiety, bills, confusion, doubt, what if, I don't have, how I'm going to get it, how I'm going to pay this off, my car broke down, I don't have enough. None of that is going to be in the kingdom of heaven. And no more crying, not one tear for the elect. Not one tear for the elect. This is beautiful. And this is what we look forward to, man. This is why it's important to come back to the Most High, to keep these laws, to keep the commandments, man. Everything's going to be done in its proper order. Isaiah 11. Isaiah chapter 11 and verse number 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. So the Most High is going to put a spirit on these animals and these predators, carnivores, and they're going to go back to being herbivores. They're only going to eat plants. Lions are going to eat straw. Wolves, they're going to eat grass. And this is what you call a utopia. You got a dystopia and you have a utopia, right? A utopia is, let's pull that up. Let's get the, it means a good time or a good land. Let's get that. Utopia is a term meaning a good place or a place of ideal perfection. A dystopia, that's a bad place. America is a dystopian kingdom. The new heavens and the new earth is a good place for ideal perfection, where even the animals are going to be in harmony, and a little child shall lead them. You don't got to worry about your children. Have you seen Latoya? Have you seen little Jamal? Ain't no children coming up missing. Your children going to be able, and that's a spirit too. I don't know if brother saw that Eve, the little sister, she was playing with that seal in the aquarium, and them Edomites start getting jealous. That's what she's able to do now, and the Most High had that happen. Because that is a sign of what Isaiah is talking about, the kingdom. That's going to be everyday stuff in the kingdom. She was on that little aquarium thing and she was spinning the walrus or the seal and moving it, and then it'll go. And Esau couldn't do that. They tried, but the Most High's not with them. So in the kingdom, they're going to be controlling lions, oxen, bears. And the cow, this is Isaiah 11 and 7. And the cow and the bear shall feed. Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat the straw like an ox. Check that out. Lion's going to be eating straw. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp. So your children are going to be able to touch a snake and be immortal. And the weaned child shall put his hand on a cockatrice den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Everybody's going to be perfect. Everybody's going to be righteous. Everybody's going to be safe. And we don't have to, ain't no Bill Gates, man. No more Epstein, no more elites, no more wickedness. It's going to be pure perfection. Isaiah chapter 54 and verse number 11. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted. Behold, I lay thy stones with fair colors, and thy foundations with sapphire. So the Most High is going to take care of us. Nobody else comforts us. I've never been comforted. We've never been comforted by any other nation. Nobody has came, like I tell you in Jeremiah 15:5, to ask how we doing. Do the Israelites need anything? Let's get the guns out of y'all community. Let's get they'll do everything for anybody else. The Palestinians, for the Japanese man who had bombs dropped on them, the Germans. They built up Germany after those wars and made it magnificent. They'll never do anything for the Israelites. They're not going to comfort us, so the Most High is going to comfort us. And that's the comfort we want. We want it from Yahweh. We don't want it from man. We want it from Yahweh Bashmi Awashah. Right? Verse 12. And I will make thy windows of agates, and thy gates of carbuncles, and all thy borders of pleasant stones. And all thy children shall be taught of Yahweh, and great shall be the peace of thy children. Imagine your children just running out. And you're going to have so many children, you ain't going to be able to count. And Isaiah says a little one shall become a great nation or a strong nation. Every Israelite is going to be their own nation. Well, brother, I thought we had 18 nations. No, you're going to have more than that. Now, okay, we're the nation of Israel, but every brother is going to be their own nation like Abraham. Right? If I make it to the kingdom, whatever my name is going to be, you're going to have the nation of the Naquamites. Right? If your brother, brother Judah, you're going to, or let's do a different name, right? Your brother Gabar, you're going to have the nation of the Gabarites. All right? Your brother Gadol, you're going to have the Gadolites. Everybody's going to have their own nation. And you're going to have a lot of wives. To have a lot of children. Well, brother, I only want one wife, brother. I want one wife. Okay, brother, that's fine. Right? That's fine, brother. You're not, brother, okay. Right? But hey, brother's going to have a lot of wives. And the sisters are going to be in order. Ain't going to be no, you ain't getting no other wife. Who's that? Who is she? No, everybody's, ain't going to be no, You in a doghouse. Ain't no doghouse in the kingdom, man. The Lord said the men of the Lord are going to have great praise and fame amongst every nation. And our children are going to be at peace. I know a lot of sisters coming into this truth, they don't like that. Show me the scriptures. Right? Show me the scripture where the men of the Lord are going to have a bunch of wives and a bunch of children. I don't want all that. I ain't messing up my body. Not me. I'm done. You got Eve that be saying stuff like that, man. Where's that at in the scriptures? In the ancient world, it was a blessing for a sister to have a bunch of children. They said, Rebecca, be thou the mother of thousands of millions. That's billions of children. So everything's going to be fine in the kingdom. Everything's going to be just fine. Isaiah 54:14. In righteousness shalt thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come nigh thee. And we're not going to be scared of anything, man. You're just going to walk with peace. We've never had that. Doesn't matter if you went on vacation. You have to come back. Our peace is temporary. And you probably, some brothers, we never really we don't really know what it means to have peace. I mean, we really don't. You never had time when you had nothing to worry about and nothing to do. You got to work. You got bills. You got rent. This got to get done. This got to get paid. This got to get taken care of. You're subject unto payments. Taxes. Right? So in the kingdom, everything's going to be perfect. Behold, and you're going to have true water. You've never had real water. I've never had real water before. Well, brother, I had the, what's that fancy water? I had the Fiji, what's that, Avion, whatever that water is. I had, brother, they ain't the real water. Brother, what about my filter? I got the filter. No, brother, you never had real water. You're going to be able to go to the Jordan River and just take your hand and drink real water. You never had real beef, real venison. You never breathed what the air is actually supposed to be like. You never had real clothes, 100%. This clothes got chemicals and is mixed, is out of control. Every day is going to be a good day, you know? It's going to be full of feasting, mirth, gladness, wine, you know? Your forefathers. It's going to be beautiful, amazing. That's why we labor and do this work that we may enter into rest. Let's read this again, Isaiah 54:14. In righteousness shalt thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near thee. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. So the Lord got the waster, these bombs ready to destroy the earth, and Yahweh Shah is going to establish the kingdom of heaven, a better world, a world of peace, a world of righteousness, a world of immortality. That's what we look forward to, man. I hate it here. You know? The food is that's why we went through all of these links, man. And all these sites to show you how corrupt the world is. They killed off all the bees. They got DNA in all the food. Pedophiles and murderers and wickedness on the earth. And everybody's going to follow Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. Let's go to Zechariah 8, and we're winding down. A beautiful chapter right here. Zechariah chapter 8 and verse number 3. Thus said the Lord, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of the Lord of hosts, the holy mountain. Thus said the Lord of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem. Every man with his staff and his hand for very age. Yeah, you got music playing, old men out doing their thing in they warlike apparel, the old sisters out doing their thing, children out playing, you know. And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. They're going to be out all night, man. Temperature going to be nice. Weather going to be beautiful. You're going to be eating good food, drinking good wine. You ain't never had good wine. We're talking real wine, spiced wine, good wine. You know, good strong drink. Thus said the Lord of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, should it also be marvelous in mine eyes, said the Lord of hosts. So everybody's going to be at peace. Everything's going to be in order. Everything's going to be clean. Everything's going to be refreshed. This is the new heavens and the new earth. So death and destruction to the first heaven and the first earth that's ran in wickedness and sin and confusion, and most high willing, Yahweh Shema Shah brings about the new heavens and the new earth and haste that we may be delivered from the hand of our enemies. So with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh. Most high willing, you were edified. Keep the Sabbath holy. No buying, no selling, no working, no cooking, no sex on the Sabbath, no speaking your own words, doing your own pleasures. Keep the Sabbath day holy in times, and then keep watch. Keep watch. It's a lot of prophecies unfolding. You blink twice, you miss out on everything. Stay in the spirit, right? Stay in the spirit in your thoughts. Stay in the spirit in your words. Stay in the spirit in your actions. Love one another. Pray more. Serve the Most High more. And wax mighty and increase in the last days. So with that, again, Most High willing, you were edified. Kwam Yasha.